We are good. We are good. We've only been doing this now for, actually together, it'll be 2 years in March.
No.
One year.
I was like, I haven't been here 2 years.
1 year in March.
Almost 1 year.
Yes. We've only been doing this for less than a year. I mean, maybe almost a year, but less than a year still. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
All new technology, though.
All new technology. In fact, we have, like I showed you guys the setup last time.
Yes.
We have a whole new camera. You can tell.
Way high.
It is way high. You
It's
can
way
tell by
high.
just like we look like humans. We don't look like blurred monsters.
Yes.
Maybe kind of human monsters, but still. So we do appreciate your all's patience as you think that we would get used to this by now. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with Carrie and I on this episode of Medicare Cafe. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
What are we chatting about today?
Today, we're going to be talking
Is it pre-chat?
about...
Nope.
It
we're
is.
Live.
We are
going.
live. We are past the pre-chat. Today we're talking about tips for selling ancillary benefits. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because every single agent that I work with,
Says they need to do better?
They say they need to do better. And we see
Can I be included in that?
Well, you are. You are included in that.
You said this was the topic. I was like, yes, I'm going to learn all the tips.
Well, and the thing is like I like to keep in mind these are things that there's nothing new to talk about.
Yeah.
Because the agents I'll tell you the number one problem with agents cross-selling is the number one reason why it doesn't happen with cross-selling or any ancillary is one, they're unwilling to get out of their comfort zone. They don't know how to bring it up. They are told how to, but they're not willing to kind of take that step. They have their routine. They know how to sell a Medicare supplement, Medicare Advantage. They understand all that. So to add something into their habit or to add something into a routine is really uncomfortable, and they're unwilling to take that risk.
I could see that.
And number two, they overcomplicate it. They think they have to have some special pill, some magical solution.
True.
To try to,
sell it.
To sell it.
Yeah.
And really, it's so incredibly easy.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly easy. In fact, we actually, one of our top agents is fantastic. Basically a one-man shop and writes millions of dollars of premium a year. Not even like talking about annuities, just Medicare products a year, millions of dollars. One-man shop. And when we ask him, he shared us his secrets with how, because he's literally going to Hawaii this year with Mutual of Omaha based on dental vision hearing alone.
What? You can do that even?
And for most of these companies, like Mutual of Omaha and other companies.
What's his secrets? I'm dying to know.
Girl, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. We'll talk about it. But a lot of them will have like double points for ancillary benefits. Okay. So literally and he writes a lot of mutual med subs off of the dental alone. He's going to Hawaii.
Wow.
By asking one question. We'll get into it.
Dun dun dun. What is it?
So,
cliffhanger.
First thing is I want to define what is an ancillary product. And I consider an ancillary product anything that is not a core. We are in the Medicare business. I'm going to get
I think I missed the trash can.
I literally watched.
I just had to spit out my gum.
Oh my gosh.
It's on the floor.
You're not an athlete. She literally spit out her gum, ran over to the trash can this far from the top. The top is like this big. Threw it in there and missed it.
I was trying to be fast. Fast and sneaky.
Anyway.
Didn't happen.
So we're gonna I just love it. I love it. Like I'm always like not perfect. So when you have just a little bit of a falter, I'm gonna jump on that.
Hot?
Is it hot? So what I love again with ancillary products, we focus on the senior market. So our core products are going to be Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, and PDP. Anything to us in addition to that is going to be ancillary. So we focus on final expense, home health care, hospital indemnity, dental vision hearing, short-term medical or short-term care, cancer insurance, anything again that is essentially not outlined by Medicare. It's kind of what we focus on.
Yeah.
So the first tip to making sure you're writing more ancillary benefits is actually just setting the expectation. And that happens throughout your entire appointment process. But setting the expectation, if you're showing up and if you feel uncomfortable to bring up in an appointment, to bring up dental vision hearing, any of those ancillary cores, then it's because you didn't set the expectation properly with your client. You need to set the expectation of, I take care of my clients holistically.
Yes.
If I'm only talking to you about your Medicare products, then you're not covered holistically. So even if they say no, they don't want that, just setting the expectation of, we're going to be talking about other products. We're going to be talking about other lines of coverages because I take care of my clients holistically.
And I think it's just like touching on it throughout the appointment. You don't have to Like, for instance, when I'm educating on the different pathways of Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about there's some holes in Medicare, like dental, vision, and
Mm-hmm.
hearing. There's products that you can add in addition to
Mm-hmm.
that will cover it. I'll talk about those later.
I'll
And then
talk
I
about those
continue on
later.
with Medicare.
Ah. And one thing I have here too is that like the fact finding portion, is a really good
For
time
sure.
to set those expectations. So you can do it like in the
Yeah.
beginning, like like I always talk about, especially when you're working a lead, to
Mhm.
be like, hey, I know today you had questions about your Medicare coverage, but while we're here, I am going to make sure we talk about
Yes.
all, and I know you do the 4 circles, which is like all the areas of your house are taken
Mhm.
care of. But just setting the expectation as you're setting the appointment, even in that early.
One of the reasons I think the fact finding is most important is because you don't want to say something that they can't qualify for. I had something
Yes.
with
Oh, that's such a good point.
a like intern. I will always remember this, and I like put knots in my stomach. This woman had just talked about how she just got diagnosed with cancer. And the new person in my meeting who was supposed to be learning, he brought up, well, and we have a great cancer policy too and all this stuff. And I was like, we do, but you were just diagnosed with cancer. So
that's
you
not an option.
that's not an option. So
Yeah.
like, don't bring up, in the
What
fact
can they
finding, if you
qualify
find
for?
yeah,
Yeah.
don't bring up something that would get their hopes up.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point. And I also like what my thought process is in the fact finding. You're also asking questions about like, do you have plans in place if you get diagnosed with cancer?
Yes.
What are your plans?
Right.
If you have to go to the nursing home, what plans do you have in place to pay for that?
Uh-huh.
And so you get that. And when you set those little seeds of asking those like leading questions, then when you're bringing up, hey, by the way, you mentioned that you really don't know what you would do if you got diagnosed with cancer. Let's talk about that a little bit more. So it's just like you said, throughout the appointment, planting the seeds that we're going to talk about more than just your Medicare benefits. The next thing I wanted to talk about was exactly what our top agent does. And his question was, hey, are you used to receiving dental benefits? If they said yes, then he would say, okay, let me go ahead and get that on the books for you so that you can continue to have dental coverage. If they said no, he'd be like, oh, a lot of my clients are really interested in getting dental now that it's an option for them when it wasn't before. Literally by asking, are you used to receiving dental benefits? I also I have
a different angle.
Yes. And it's like a lot of it is like, what did your previous coverage look like? Did you have a cancer policy? Did you have life insurance? Did you have, a short-term medical? They ask these questions. Say, do you want to go ahead and carry some of that over? I can go ahead and add that to your benefit package. I also like the thing of
I really like that.
See, girl, yeah, I got you. I also like the idea of, they say like a lot of my clients, a lot of my clients who I work with ask me about dental. A lot of the clients who I work with asking about cancer insurance. And, do you have any experience with that or any interest in talking about that? Because what that does, even if they say, no, I have no interest in talking about that, at least they know if something comes up and they're like their neighbor or a loved one gets cancer, then they're like, Carrie asked me about cancer.
Right.
I better talk to her about it now.
Yes.
The worst thing, if somebody doesn't buy from you and it's because they didn't know you offered it, that's like, that's a shot in the gut.
Yes, it is. Or if one of your clients gets cancer a year from now and you're like, I should have sold you that cancer policy.
Yeah, it's important to realize like no client it's going to be very rare that a client asks you, hey, what about dental insurance? Or hey, what about cancer insurance? Because it's not their job to know to ask. It's your job to let them know it's available and let them know the risks associated with it.
Absolutely.
So again, a bunch of agents are like, if you tell me, like, give me like the magic phrase to say. No, it's literally just asking them.
Well, I just like how he worded that what did your previous coverage look like? Because I'm asking that, but I don't think I'm asking it like that. I don't know. I really, really like that.
We always joke that like, your HR rep, Karen in HR, there's always a Karen in HR. Karen in HR, if you're, used to having like people who are used to having work benefits. Karen in HR doesn't receive a commission, but she is way better at cross-selling than most agents because she just says, hey, dental's an option. Do you want it? Yes or no? Hey, cancer insurance an option. This is what it looks like. Do you want it? Yes or no? And Karen will cross-sell circles around the most experienced sales agent because she just doesn't have skin in the game. It's, hey, this is an option, yes or no. And with the sales experience and with the knowledge that everybody else has, it should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's genius.
Just ask. Just ask. The next one is talking about focusing
I'm
on
going to sell more dental vision hearing.
just based off
Just
that.
based
I
off
want
that.
to report back.
I will.
I do.
I'm going to be excited because I know it's going to work.
Oh, yay. I love the benefit versus features conversation as well. A lot of people are intimidated to bring up ancillary benefits because they're like, well, is this one a $1,500 benefit? What happens if this? Like they question themselves, questions that you have because you're an expert and you know what you don't know versus questions that a consumer has. What you want to do is when you focus on selling on the features versus, or focus on selling on benefits versus features, you're not saying, hey, if you buy a hospital indemnity plan, you get $350 a night for the first 10 nights that you're in a hospital. You also get a $200 copay if you go in the ambulance. Like you're listing off features. That's boring. People aren't going to remember that anyways. Instead, you use things like, hey, if you end up going to the hospital, you can stay as long as you need to. You don't have to worry about paying for that copay.
It's all about how you phrase
if
it.
you need to go to a hospital via ambulance and you have any hesitation because that, you're going to get a check in the mail. If you go via ambulance, you're going to get a check in the mail. So there should be no worries about you being able to pay for this.
I think the best example of that is like for cancer policies.
Yes.
When so much of that is if you have to stay at a hotel.
It's, yes.
Like that's the type of aspect you don't think of those things outside of just the traditional, like I'm going to the doctor for my cancer treatment. Right. It's all the things associated with it.
Exactly. And the way that I would say sell a cancer plan on the benefits versus the features is you get diagnosed with cancer, you get $20,000 lump sum, you can use that money to go to wherever you want, that's the features.
Right.
If I'm selling on the benefits, I'm going to say, listen, Carrie, if you get God forbid, if something happens and you get diagnosed with cancer, you don't have to put any stress towards anything financially.
Yes.
Your insurance, we can put something on you that you only have to focus on getting better. You do not have to focus on how to pay for you to get better. And you can also make sure that your friends and the people, your caregivers, are compensated if they have to take off work, if they have to travel with you, you can help pay for them as well.
Do you know, I feel like if someone would know this, you would know this. Do you know like the average, I guess it would depend on the type of cancer, but just like the average out-of-pocket cost?
I do know
you
that.
Do. I
so
know
it's the 2016 JAMA, which is the Journal of American Medicine Association. It's called JAMA. Anyways, It's 2016 study said that particularly somebody who is on a Medicare supplement can pay up to on average will pay about $6,000. It's like a little. It's between $5,000 and $6,000 out of pocket, and that's even just towards like the medical stuff. If they're on a Medicare Advantage plan, that jumps up to over $6,000. If they're on Medicare and Medicaid, it's over $3,000. So they're saying even if you're on these intense medical insurances, you're still going to have, again, with the MedSup, the almighty MedSup, still almost $6,000 out of pocket.
What's the breakdown of that? Is that cost? Like drugs?
They said a lot of it's going to be prescriptions. For example, anti-nausea medication for chemo. They're only covered up to 2 hours after they receive chemo. So if they take it via pill format, that's not intended for in vitro, that's not covered. Same thing with the, what's it called when you can't sleep? Not neuropathy. Insomnia medications aren't covered. Of course, any like lesions or skin things that you have as a result of chemotherapy and radiation is not covered.
So it's the Part D that's not covering them.
Oftentimes it's the Part D that's not being covered. But again, keep in mind, over 60% of costs associated with cancer are non-medical.
Right.
They're the things that you were talking about. Right. The hotel rooms, the transportation to and from.
60%?
Over 60%.
Over 60%.
It's like 64%. Yeah, something. I'll send you the studies.
Yes.
But it's over 60%. And it's also, cancer is the number one. I get very passionate about cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer is also the number one cause of medical bankruptcy.
Wow.
So
I'm gonna need this all in a printed format.
I will just send it out to everybody. But it is really impactful. And like I said, when you focus on the benefits, when you focus on the features of a cancer insurance plan, you're selling dollars and cents and things like that. What you want to do, and I think I have it on the slide. What you want to do is when you focus on the benefits versus features,
you're evoking emotion
on the why, and you have to evoke emotions.
Yes.
I am a strong believer that people buy emotionally, but they use logic to justify those purchases. So you evoke emotion into that. Mm-hmm. The one thing you don't want to do, and especially with a product that's like as sensitive and with a condition as scary as cancer, a lot of agents who find, policies that get, canceled quickly, they say like, I sell a policy the month later, the person cancels it.
Right.
Typically, it's because they sell on fear tactics.
Yes.
There's a very big difference between evoking emotion,
and fear.
And creating fear.
Yeah, you don't want them to buy out of fear because they're going to cancel it.
Exactly.
For sure.
Fear is a really powerful emotion, and it's a really strong emotion. It's really temporary.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever the source of fear gets removed, i.e. you, gets removed from that situation, it fades really quickly, and that plan seems less valid to buy it.
Interesting.
So evict, make emotion happen. Elicit, that seems
evoke.
That's
what you put.
Thank you.
Evoke.
Evoke emotion. Don't try to scare them into it, and you do that best by talking about the benefits of the plan versus
not the
the
features. Love it. It's good. I feel like I'm really benefiting here today.
Good. I love it. That's my whole goal. If I can impress Carrie, then I'm going home today. I am done. Communicate throughout the year. This is something that we do let people know. It's a retention move. But it's to let people know.
And it's one of those touches.
Exactly.
For your current clients.
We recommend that you touch your clients, maybe not physically because that can get weird.
Yep.
But talk to your clients at least 7 times a calendar year. So this is something, again, we actually have our AMP pieces, Agent Marketing Portfolio, and we have different products that are like postcards and things like that. It's going to accomplish 2 things.
Yeah.
One, you will have someone call you and be like, hey, I just got your information about your dental vision hearing. Like, can we talk about that? You will get some sales off that, but also it's going to keep your name, your logo, your brand in front of them and help kind of solidify your relationship. And then next time when you bring up, hey, cancer conversations, it's not out of the blue. You set the expectation
talked about
throughout the year.
Exactly. So I feel like why I'm not as good about selling ancillary is because I get in my comfort zone of so many of the clients I get are from financial advisors. And I know they have long-term care in place. And I know they have money in the bank, I guess, if something like this were to come up. And so I think that's why I fail at selling more ancillary.
Okay.
But that, I have never sold a cancer policy.
Oh, well, now you're going to.
I know, I'm going to.
Yes. My biggest thing, and I like to do this in the
and
fact
it's not because I
finding.
don't believe it, because I have one for myself.
But exactly, it's right? Exactly.
I mean,
and oh my gosh, the best way to sell any type of ancillary benefit is to show yours and say, I own this benefit myself, and talk about why you purchased it.
Yes.
But one of my things where all cross-selling is educating somebody about a risk and asking them how comfortable are they with that risk.
Exactly.
So I love the questions of in the fact-finding process, are you familiar with how your hospital copay is going to work with your Medicare plan?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. Or are you familiar with how Medicare works when you leave the hospital and your recovery? Are you aware that you're not going to recover in the hospital? What are your plans for your recovery if something happens?
Right.
And educating them in that, okay, look, I have an option for you if you want to discuss that. It's that easy. And they might say. I love
the comfortable question, because that's all of my hip sales have been that. Are you comfortable with, if you get hospitalized, you're going to have a $300 per day copay? Are you comfortable with that? Or would you rather pay $35 a month and know that if you were hospitalized, everything's taken care of? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that's straight up selling on benefits versus the features.
Some
That's
people
exactly
are like, I'd
is.
rather roll the dice. And
yeah.
it's okay.
But at least you know. But here's
at least
the thing.
You know this is out there if you don't
You're
want
not
to.
going to be the SOB of them saying, you didn't tell me that there was some way to handle this.
Yes.
If something happens and they get that bill and they're going to be like, well, I was told about this. Exactly. It's their fault. It's not your fault.
For sure.
I'm just waiting for the day that E&O starts having to make claims on people not fully educating on risks.
Oh.
I genuinely think we're going to be going down the route of, you didn't tell me that cancer was going to be limited coverage. You're claiming to be my expert. I'm suing you. I'm just be prepared for that. Again, I don't have much to back that up, but I just
evoking some fear here.
Hey man, I don't mean to evoke fear. I'm just saying, wake up, sheeple.
Yes.
Just kidding. And again, we make sure they know their options. The last thing I talk about, and this is really simple. This is none of this stuff. None of this stuff is new, guys. Stay away from jargon. Don't call a hospital indemnity plan an indemnity plan.
Yep.
Call them their extra hospital benefit.
Yep.
Don't call long-term care
I
insurance.
just call them hospital plans.
Yeah, hospital. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Long-term
simplest
care
form
insurance.
of what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like people, I work with an agency out of Macon actually, and they had a really cool questionnaire that was in their fact finding. And they said, on a scale of 1 to 5, how nervous are you with the non-medical cost of cancer? On a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you if you go into the nursing home to cover your assets? On a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you with your costs if you go into the hospital? And of course, we know that language is a cancer insurance plan, long-term care insurance, hospital indemnity plan.
Right.
But they worded it to the client that was, again, focusing on the benefits of
benefit.
that plan versus saying the features and versus calling it by its God-given name.
Question about their fact finding.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if that's something that they like give to them before the meeting?
Yes,
Or
they
during
actually they run their office like a doctor's office. They
And
have
they give 'em a
receptionists.
clipboard?
Get a clipboard. You sit down, and every appointment is not just the first appointment. Every appointment, while they're waiting for their agent to see them, they sit down and fill out this clipboard, and it goes into their CRM. So they can say, "Hey, last time we talked, you rated that you were a 1 on cancer. This time you rated it was a 3. Let's talk about that. What's going on with that?"
That's genius.
So it's a really good way to track kind of how things, because it will change.
Do you find a lot of agents do that?
I would
curious if any
love.
of us
So
as
when we
agents
talk
do that.
about like the fact finding, we say that there's 2 ways to fact find. There's the form and the conversation.
Yeah.
I think
I like the form. I feel like it's easier to get out those real feelings before you
Exactly.
have to talk about them.
Exactly. And it sets the expectations, because when they bring up cancer insurance,
Yes.
it's because, hey, you rated it this. If you
Right.
rated cancer insurance at a fear level or a nervous level of 1, let me make sure you really understand what
Right.
cancer means
Right.
with your current state. So it allows you to bring up these ancillary benefits, but you already did it just like in a sheet that they filled out, just like they do at the doctor.
Yeah.
On that fact finder, they'll have their provider that they like to use, the pharmacy they like to go to, a list of the medications they're on. It'll have any of their conditions, so you can pre-qualify them if they know if they last time they went to the hospital. It basically looks like a doctor intake form, but it's gonna help you.
Man, I
Really,
like that.
it kind of standardizes the fact finding process. too.
Anybody out there use a fact finder that they send out there?
I would love to hear
to
about
hear.
that.
I'm
I
intrigued.
know your agency does use it. You guys have the 4 circles.
Right, but I'm thinking of like something that they're given while they're waiting.
Yeah. That's it depends
Because
on.
that's not. I mean, we don't right now.
Yeah,
At least in this office.
it's a cool little feature. And again, it kind of standardizes the appointment, and so like people go to a doctor's office, they know exactly what to expect.
Right.
It's familiar to them. So if you can make your appointment process standardized, and every single time they see you it looks and feels the same,
Right.
then they're more comfortable coming to see you, because people don't like the unknown. People like familiarity.
Yeah. Can we see the chat?
Um,
It looks different. Maybe not. Maybe just no one's.
buckets. What in the tarnation? Just blame me, folks. Sorry. Thanks, Ben. But if you do have any comments about your fact-finding process, and in fact, that is the last slide we have. So if you have any ideas about or any questions about cross-selling, you can text us here. I do have the text line open, or of course, comment as well in the chat. But yeah, just making sure, like, I think it's really important to say, like, everybody, if you're like, people don't need a DVH plan, people don't need a cancer plan, then like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in it, then don't sell it.
Right.
Right, because then
Yeah.
it comes across disingenuine, and it's not. If you don't believe it's right for the client, then don't sell it to the client.
You know what I'm baffled that isn't around yet is that there's not a DVH for just for spouses. They have the individual
and then the
DVH
family.
and then the family. Because so many people are like, well, we'll do the family since there's 2 of us. And I was like, no, that's actually more than just getting 2 individual policies. Like, so many times I have people ask about, well, why isn't there like a spousal one?
Mm-hmm.
There's a spousal like household
That's
discount.
really good feedback. I like that.
I've never understood that. I think it's odd.
Yeah, I do know, like with Aetna's cancer plan, they'll do a spousal cancer plan, and they take the premium of the younger person.
Oh,
Yeah, so like if it's like me,
Aetna
like
does
my
that?
yes, so my husband is 8 years, sometimes 9 years, depending on the time of year, older than me.
Me too. 8, sometimes 9.
Yeah, I love it. And so, what I always joke about is like it's in his best interest to date me beyond just my charm and good looks.
Because we keep them young.
We keep them young, exactly, and he'll get
Man.
lower cancer premium rates
And lower
through
cancer.
Aetna. So they Aetna will do spouses together,
Might have to
and
do
they
some,
do the rates based on the youngest person.
Might have to do some renewal of my
figure out what
my
that
cancer
looks like, right?
policies.
Right. So very interesting. Michelle says because Medicare has so many requirements, what are the requirements for cross-selling products? Michelle, it's a really fair question.
They're not regulated by Medicare, right?
No, the
None of them
ancillary
are.
products are all regulated by the Department of Insurance. So literally you can do, it's Wild West. You can do whatever you want. Now, if you're at a Medicare Advantage or a Part D appointment, you have to stick to the scope of appointment.
Yep.
And the scope of appointment allows you to talk about, of course, the core products plus dental vision hearing plus hospital indemnity plans. I am in the minority, but I love scope of appointments because scope of appointments does the cross-selling for you. What you do is you say, hey, listen, this is a form that you have to fill out prior to us talking about this. We're talking about government-sponsored plans, so this is just extra documentation that you're okay with me sharing all this information with you. Yeah. Now, they also speculate that, or they also see that in a lot of these plans, they leave significant holes in your dental vision hearing coverage and in your hospital benefit. So based on this form, they do recommend we discuss those as well. Your scope of appointment just cross-sold for you. I'm a fan.
What at a minimum needs to be presented?
For these ancillary benefits, there is no minimum. Now, you're going to want to make sure your client truly understands the policy.
Yes.
Because if they don't, they will cancel it.
Right.
But there's not like a star ratings or like a summary benefits. I tend to see that if you can, most ancillary products can be sold within 2 minutes. If you really focus on the why and the benefits of that plan versus the feature, because you can go over like, the per day and things like that. You do that when you're building the plan with them. But again, they're not going to remember that. All you need to say is, hey, if you go into the hospital, call me.
Yep.
We'll go through this together. If you get diagnosed with cancer, call me. We'll submit a claim together. So it's a great way to present that like you are the end all be all, the value add.
Questions, just like for the Medicare.
Exactly. So
I had someone who signed up for a DVH plan and their dentist wasn't a network. And so I said, well, it works like a reimbursement. So you can still go, just get me the receipts. And so before she left, I gave her the like envelopes so she can mail receipts back to me. And she was like, what are these envelopes for? And I was like, remember, you're going to have to pay your dental bill and then the plan will reimburse it. And like we had a whole 5-minute conversation about it, but she did not understand it.
Didn't remember.
So I'm glad she asked me what those
envelopes
were for
because
it made me realize you just didn't hear what I said.
They're not going to remember it.
So, yeah.
They're not going to. Every question, ancillary is just a great way to be value add because, we don't work with claims on Medicare and Medicare Advantage and supplements. We don't get to have a hand in that. So when you get them involved in ancillary benefits, you get to be part of that process. That's how you get referrals and that's how you get people to stay with you. But
yeah, make sure it's a value add and not going to hinder against you. Like for dental, if you don't tell them they have a 12-month waiting period for anything comprehensive, they go to the dentist to get a crown and it's not covered, they're going to be mad.
Really mad.
So
really mad.
Make sure you're telling them the pros and the cons of the plan.
For sure. Yeah, set the expectations.
Or it won't be a value add.
I am 100% a believer that success is measured by how well your expectations are met. So if you at least just set the expectations of what the plan's designed for and the limitations of it, then you're going to be okay.
Yes.
Brian said, my meaner half says I'm an 8 and sometimes a 9 if she's really drunk. Brian, I love these little peeks into your life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
On that note, any other questions? It is right at 10:30, a minute till. Any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises about ancillary sales? Please let us know. The last piece,
I'm gonna go sell some more.
I wanna hear. How many appointments do you have this week?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I want to hear about how many dental policies.
I know I've got 2 turning 65-year-olds, and I'm guessing they're gonna have what their prior coverage is like. I'm guessing is gonna include dental benefits. So I'm just going to continue that process.
I love it.
I'll report back.
I want to hear about it. I really do.
I will.
My last piece of advice is going to be, because I know the next question is like, which dental plan should I sell? Which Medicare, which cancer plan should I sell? pick one carrier. People do not shop carrier, they shop benefits. So pick a carrier that makes sense for you, that makes sense for your sales style. And then those plans can you can customize the plan to fit the client. So don't have 50 or don't have even 3 dental DVH companies. Have one and be really familiar with it.
That's exactly what I do. For dental, I'll tell them, hey, listen, there's about 20 carriers that have some type of dental plan that you can get. But this is the one I tend to recommend, and this is why I like it.
They expect you to do the homework. They expect you.
They don't want
expert.
They don't want all the options.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. sharp to hear a full report on how well Carrie Cross.
We're not gonna have. Yes, we're not gonna have any technical issues next week. I can feel it. We got them all out.
I'm not gonna promise that. That doesn't seem like a promise I can keep. You guys have a fabulous rest of your day. Until next time, have fun,
make money, and give impeccable service.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.